welcome to Havering College's Question Time. My name is Ian Budge, I'm the Deputy Principal here at Havering Colleges at Ardie Green. And we're streaming live today from our Ardie Green campus television studio. We're joined by a guest panel to discuss and answer your questions around safety in the Havering community. A big thank you to our local Havering schools and our students who've been sending in their questions ready for today's show. We'll try our best to answer as many as we can, and for those that we're not able to get around to, we'll respond and send email responses for those. But first of all, I'd like to introduce our guest panel. So with us on my left is Sergeant Mark Luxton and Inspector Rob McElroy, and to my right we have Keith Prince, who's a London Assembly member, and we have to Keith's right, Councillor Sally Miller, who's a coordinator of Havering Street Watch and also a board member here at Havering Colleges. And last but not least, we have Thomas Clark, who's a GLA candidate for Havering and Redbridge. I didn't say where these gentlemen worked, I apologise, but I think the uniform will give it away. But they're from our Rob is from the Inspector for Neighbourhoods for Havering, and Mark is Tri-Borough for the Metropolitan Police, but specifically focusing on licensing. So thank you to all our panel members. And before I sort of move into our first question, I just wanted to thank all of our students and staff that have kind of made today possible. So we really do appreciate that. Okay, so let's get straight into it with our first question. And that first question is a common question that's come in from a variety of schools. Does Havering have a high crime rate compared with other London boroughs? Sorry. So I'll hand over to Rob for that question.
Havering is predominantly a very safe borough. When compared to the other 32 London boroughs, it's always towards the back end of crime, of overall crime, is very low compared to other boroughs. Particularly around street-based violence that we see on some of the more challenged inner London boroughs. Havering, there's an awful lot of green space, there's an awful lot of countryside, so we don't tend to have the inner London crime problems that we do see in other boroughs, particularly in inner London. We do have our challenges, particularly around burglary and motor vehicle crime, but we've worked very hard to bring down the street-based crime, which is robbery, violence, and associated crime to do with drinking and alcohol problems, which tends to be concentrated in the town centres, Romford, Hornchurch and Upminster. But we've worked very hard in the last couple of years to bring that down. Robberies down, burglaries down, street-based violence is down, and we hope to keep that up.
Okay. Perhaps I'll come to Mark for the next one. But is the trouble in Havering male orientated? Right, and I think when we say trouble, we're talking, crime in general, I suppose.
So the trouble isn't just sort of male related. Unfortunately, we do deal predominantly with males causing trouble. But there are females who obviously get arrested for certain offences. I would say it's more sort of evenly pitched. It's just unfortunately you always tend to hear more about the male issues opposed to the female issues.
Okay. Well, I can sort of give some feedback. Again, this was a common question coming in from some schools. So specifically here at the college, and I'm sure it's probably echoed up and down the country, but we're seeing an increase actually in females being perhaps related in issues within colleges and schools. Not so much from a crime perspective, but much more so than perhaps we would have thought some time ago. And I suppose an extension to that question would be the stop and search figures around females are obviously much lower than males. I'm not sure the exact percentage, but I think it's kind of in and around single digits sort of thing. So criminals often catch on to those type of things quite quickly, don't they? And are you seeing an increase in stop and search or issues with women?
Not locally, I must admit. Males do commit majority of the crime, adult males particularly. We don't particularly have a problem with females committing crime. However, we have had occasion where females will carry things for male friends and associates, so they could be subjected to stop and search the same as anybody else could. But it is targeted, it is intelligence led, and we have a very good turnaround on what we do find on people. So we have a 33% success rate when we do search people, that we find something. So we are searching the right people.
Thank you. And the point I was making there about the college and schools that have increasing issues with females. Probably links into the next question, and perhaps we'll open it up to other members of the panel. But do you think social media has had a part to play in antisocial behaviour? Keith, do you want to pick that one up?
Yes, I think it does. One of the main problems with social media is it's there all the time. In my day, when I went to school, which is a long time ago, you had a bit of a rut with someone, you had a disagreement with someone, you went home, you came back the following day, and generally speaking, you made up. Whereas nowadays, of course, the irritation continues. You can have that disagreement, but then you can continue it on further and further along the day, and you can get other people joining in as well. So I think what it does, it sort of augments the problem, and it makes it more difficult for people to make up, because people just keep needling each other. So I think it's a real issue.
I think it'd probably be a good topic to have discussions in your schools, I think, but in our experience, there isn't a great deal that's more important than a young person's kind of image and what people think of them, rightly or wrongly. When you get to my age and have got lots of grey hair, you actually realise that it's not quite as important as perhaps you think it is when you're young. But it's also extremely public, and a fallout on social media can feel very exposing. Lots of people are aware of it and see it, and you've almost kind of are forced into kind of responding, which we know can have implications not only for you but for others and the school or the college. But as Keith says, it's quite hard to ignore, isn't it? Other panel members, do you want to pitch in with the social media kind of question, and do we think it's got a part in antisocial behaviour?
I think for me, there's also a perception, a lot of things that get put on social media, they're exaggerated. So you might have one person commit an offence in one area, and before you know it, it's been put on social media in another area, and it's been implied that antisocial behaviour has happened in that area, not in the original area. So it is a means of exaggerating what's going on. For me, I grew up in a different world like Keith, where we didn't have social media, and I think a lot of people do, put a lot of emphasis on what people think of me. Like you, I'm of an age, I don't care what people think of me, I am what I am. But I do understand that's quite hard for females today, that they want to get likes on Facebook, or they want to be seen by their peers as being attractive. And it must be such a hard time for kids these days to get over that, because there is no escape from it, it's there all the time.
Absolutely.
I think there's the other side of social media actually is also a very positive tool as well, and I'm sure there's a lot of students watching who actually really enjoy their social media, and I think it's always funny that when I look around who's talking about it, it's a group of people who are not into it at all on social media. And let's not forget the great stuff that people have actually been doing, whether it's fundraising stuff during these time, or actually keeping in touch with their friends and family, which they probably wouldn't have been able to do because of social media. So I think as long as people are careful about it, and as people have said, I think you have got to be wary of what's going on there. You can still use it as a really positive tool out there, and enjoy it, and enjoy the life out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another discussion point potentially back at your schools is why people in general perhaps are more likely to record and share something on social media rather than report it. And the police have their hands tied effectively when people post stuff on social media regarding an alleged offence, but often it hasn't been reported. Is that a problem?
That's very true. As Sally said, we see the same crime being reported on social media that's happened across the country. We get allegations made that